I welcome all of you on behalf of MIT University of Organic Agriculture in the class of Soil Fertility Management. Today I will be discussing about soil testing, phases of soil testing and chemical analysis of soil. This is our course material, Module 3. It is Soil Fertility Evaluation and Fertilizer Recommendation, already completed. Different approaches of soil fertility evaluation, already completed. Now today we will be discussing about soil testing and chemical methods of soil analysis, as well as what are the critical levels of nutrients in soil. We will be discussing about that. So let us soil testing, phases and chemical methods. Soil testing is an acceptable and accurate method of soil chemical analysis, which is very vital for knowing the status of soil fertility and fertilizer recommendations. The important steps are soil sampling, preparation of soil samples, extraction of nutrients from soil, and interpretation of soil or interpretation of results, that is called interpretation of soil analysis data. What is the purpose of soil testing? Soil testing is a service provided to the farmers for their better and economic use of fertilizers and better agricultural practices. A fertilizer recommendation from soil testing laboratory is based on careful and accurate soil testing and the results of up-to-date research of agronomical practices and the scientific information available for the growing of crops. The soil test with the resulting fertilizer recommendation is therefore the actual connecting link between the agronomic research and its practical application on the farmer's field. Without soil tests, farmer may be applying too much fertilizer or too little amount of fertilizer to the soils. So it is very important to solve the problem of farmers. It is must to analyze soil before fertilizer recommendation in soils. So this is the purpose, to differentiate between nutrient deficient area and nutrient sufficient area. After soil testing, we can categorize this is nutrient deficient area and that one is nutrient sufficient area. And the main purpose is to maintain, to restore our soil quality as a whole. The objectives are understanding the soil fertility status. Number 2, to identify the problems of soil acidity, soil salinity and soil sodicity. Number 3, compilation of soil fertility maps. That is very important for education purpose as well as for our farmers. To study the soil pollution related aspects, what is the contamination of soil, what are the problems of soil, that should be analyzed, and to make efforts for improving soil analysis and interpretation of results. This is the important aspects of soil testing. Now these soil testings are completed in 4 different phases. Number 1 is soil sampling. Number 2 is analysis of sample analysis to determine the quantity of plant nutrients, that is called soil test. Number 3 is data interpretation or interpretation of results, that is also called calibration of soil test. And last one is soil nutrient recommendation. Now number one step, it is soil sampling. Soil is collected at the right time, in a definite way, at a right depth, and correct mixing is done. Soil sampling tools are very important for taking soil samples, and the different procedures of soil sampling are also important for making a composite soil sample. These are the diagrammatic representation of soil sampling. Random means taking samples from indefinite places, from irregular places. Zigzag means you can see the map, zigzag, and the sampling of a large field. In a small fields, zigzag or random sampling is done, and in larger fields like more than 15 and 16 hectare of soil, the third figure represents the soil sampling of accurate analysis, accurate sampling of soils. Sampling time is before sowing. It is always preferred to take soil samples before crop, before growing of crops, before rapid growth of crops, during the autumn season, before the rapid growth of crops. So these are the proper time for soil sampling. The first step is to remove the upper litter of the soil surface by scratching the soil. Number two is sampling tools like agar tube, a spade or khurpi are taken for taking soil samples. About 20 soil samples are taken in 1 hectare of field, and the depth of soil sample is kept plough layer, that is called 0 to 15 centimeter depth. And for other different crops, the depth of soil samples vary. These are the shapes. The slices like bread slices, V-shaped is made, then half-inch slices are made up to the depth of 15 centimeter. These are the different processes. Drying of soil samples at room temperature to up to 35 degrees Celsius, and relative humidity should be less than 60%. Sieving is done for filtering organic materials, and plant residue or concrete materials are sieved out of the soil. And final sieving is done through 2 millimeter sieves, that is also called 10 mesh per inch. Grinding. Some wooden materials are used to break down the soil, to crush the soil, and final sieving is done through 2 millimeter sieve. Mixing is very important. The figures will show you the exact technique of mixing of soil samples. This is the technique of mixing of soil samples. Soil samples are spread, then diagonals are mixed, and the remaining diagonals are discarded. Means 50% of soil samples are mixed and 50% of soil samples are removed. In this way, the one is mixed with third and second is mixed with fourth unit. Second and fourth units discarded, one and third units are mixed. Now final volume is made up to half kilogram, that is called composite soil sample, representative soil or composite sample. These are the depth of soil sampling for agricultural crops, common agricultural crops like cereals, rice, paddy, wheat. We take the sample from 15 to 20 centimeter. From deep-rooted crops like tomatoes and pumpkin, we take soil samples up to 30 centimeter to 60 centimeter. For fruit crops or horticultural crops, the depth vary from up to 120 centimeter. For pasture or forage crop, the depth is minimum up to 10 centimeter. And in alkaline soil, soil crust should be sampled separately than the other soils. These are the tools. First one is called blade, second is agar tube, and third is a screw agar. A screw agar or agar a screw, agar tube or blade. The three instruments is there. The precautions are we should avoid using chemicals, fertilizers and manures that should not be in contact while soil sampling. We should use a stainless steel instruments instead of rusted iron. Rusted iron can change the micronutrient status of analysis. The third one is bags or boxes are used should not be used for storing fertilizers or salts or other chemicals. Store soil samples in clean cloths or polythene bags. Use glass, porcelain, polythene jar for long duration storage. Now the third part is extraction, which are the chemicals used for making the nutrients in soluble form. That is called extraction of soil nutrients. Means nutrients are made soluble with the help of the chemicals. The chemicals used for different analysis of nutrients are following. We use alkaline permanganate solution for available nitrogen. We use sodium bicarbonate solution for available phosphorus in alkaline and neutral soil. We use ammonium fluoride and HCl mixture for determination of available phosphorus in acid soils. We use 1 normal ammonium acetate solution for available potassium. We use 0.15% calcium chloride solution for available sulfur. We use diethyl triamine pentaestic acid or DTPS solution for determination of zinc, copper, manganese and iron as micronutrients. We use hot water extraction for boron determination. We use Griggs reagent or ammonium oxalate for molybdenum analysis. We use Askanover method for gypsum requirement and SMP method, that is Shoemaker, Maclean and Pratt method. SMP buffer method for lime requirement. This is the extraction procedure. Soil is mixed with chemical solution. Then the solution is filtered with Wartman paper number 40 and the filtrate is stored in the bottle. This is called extraction. Now interpretation of results, interpretation of data. For macronutrients, we tabulate the results in kilogram per hectare. For nitrogen, phosphate and potassium, kilogram per hectare unit is used and the level is already determined, and as a reference, when the nitrogen level is less than 280 kilograms per hectare, it is said to be low. 280 to 560 kilogram per hectare, it is medium, and more than 560 kilogram per hectare, it is called high nitrogenous soil. For phosphorus, less than 10 kilogram per hectare, it is said low phosphorus soil. Medium 10 to 25 kilogram per hectare is medium phosphorus soil, and more than 25 kilogram per hectare, it is called high phosphorus soil. For potassium, 108 kg per hectare is low, 108 to 280 is medium, and more than 280 kg per hectare is high potassium soil. So these are the tabular values. These are the already standard reference. The low, medium and high references are given, and the nutrients are tabulated and compared with this reference table. This reference table was developed by H.L.S. Tandon in 2004, and it is compared from this table, and then it is said that our soil is low or medium or high. If our soil is very low, then there is chance of fertilizer recommendation. We apply maximum fertilizer in very low status of soils up to 90%. If the soil level is low, then 60 to 90%. If the soil level is medium, then we apply 30 to 60% fertilizer. If the soil nutrient status is high, then we only apply 5 to 30% fertilizer, and accordingly the yield is expected only 5 to 30%. And if the soil is very high, then we only apply less than 5% fertilizer, or we do not apply fertilizer and the increase is less than 5%. Now we comes to deficiency level. We already understand if the level is low, then it is called deficient, and there is a level where crop growth very rapidly grow by the application of soil nutrients. Crop growth rapidly grow up to critical level. That level is called critical level. Critical level is that level of nutrient when we apply the crop response, we get higher crop response, and when we apply lower level than critical level, then it is expected that our growth will be negatively affected. And when there is more than critical level application, then it is called luxury consumption, or more than luxury consumption, there will be toxicity or negative impact on growth. So these are the critical levels, means this level must be applied to soil for the rapid growth of crops. Otherwise, there will be negative growth of crops when we apply less than the critical level of fertilizers. These are the critical level of fertilizers. In soil, sulfur should be applied up to 10 ppm. Calcium should be applied up to 25% of cation exchange capacity. Magnesium should be applied only up to 4% of cation exchange capacity. Zinc should be applied 0.6 ppm. It is must. Manganese should be 2 ppm. Copper should be 0.2 ppm. Iron should be 2.5 to 4 ppm or 2 ppm. Boron should be 0.5 ppm and molybdenum should be 0.2 ppm. Below that level, there will be negative impact on crop response, crop growth. So this is my conclusion, that soil testing is very important for providing a map. Map is very important for our soil fertility status. Soil fertility status is very important for nutrient management, nutrient strategy in soils. And these maps also helps in awareness among farmers and educational tools for university and colleges. Hence, soil testing is a must to obtain economic yield from crop plants from the farmer's field. Without soil testing, farmers are applying too much fertilizer or too little fertilizer for their crops. Thank you.